Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I haven't uploaded a video for a while because I've never felt I've had enough content to justify making a full video. But after a long year, I've had a lot of time and I've been continuously working on projects with one end goal, of creating change. Ever since the robotic arm, I've been working towards trying to develop a machine to help the environment. After a few false starts and ideas I couldn't get off the ground, I believe I have a concept that is worth pursuing. But first, some backstory. About a year ago, I heard about an issue wildlife parks were having here in New Zealand. When they brought in freshly screened topsoil for their animal habitats, they often found little bits of metal amongst the soil. Small animals and birds would eat this debris, and they would unfortunately require rescue surgery. I contacted one of my local wildlife parks, and before long, I was designing a solution. I worked on designing a screening machine which removed impurities using fine mesh and magnets. Just before I started building the project though, the park contacted me to say they were no longer interested. I decided to pitch my idea to a few other parks, but there was really no interest. That's when I decided to focus on something new. I spent the next few months coming up with different ideas and concepts, but none of them really came together. One night though, I was watching the news and they mentioned New Zealand has a labour shortage and they can't find people to plant trees. This caught my attention, and after doing some thinking, I've decided I'm going to try and build a tree planting robot. This project is important to me because with the growing population, the demand for wood has never been higher. And with global change becoming a greater issue every day, we simply need more trees to preserve the environment. So that's my motivation. Now, with all that said, I'm super excited to announce this new series of videos which I'll be sharing on my channel. Every few months I'll release a new video showing my learning, prototyping and overall progress towards a completed tree planting robot. This is by far the most complicated project I've attempted, and I've given myself 1 year to build it. That's because next year I want to enter this project into a national competition for engineers under the age of 18. If I want to have any chance of building this project, I need to learn from my past mistakes. A year ago I finished building a robotic arm. This project took me 2.5 years to complete, and one of the reasons it took so long was I didn't have a proper plan. I didn't take the time to fully research, prototype or test the designs. I didn't break the project into milestones and I rushed straight ahead to building. Long term this cost me more time and money as the first version never worked out. So I had to re-engineer parts 3 or 4 times, where if I had done more research, prototyping, and if I had spent more time on certain parts of the design process, I wouldn't have made half the mistakes I did. But that's learning, and because of this project, I've been fortunate enough to meet some very intelligent people who are willing to help mentor me with my future projects. It also helps that I now have access to new tools like my own 3D printer. But possibly the most important thing I've learned is to record the journey and my thought process. Because at the end of the day, whether I finish the project successfully or not, universities and employers want to see the problem solving and steps I took to get there. This is why I'm going to make monthly videos where I show my thinking and decision making. I have already done some research. I have looked into existing tree planting robot concepts and the current technologies we have available. I looked at the different tree types and the different sectors my robot could potentially work in. After watching documentaries and reading articles, I have decided to focus on planting pine trees. Pine trees are planted as saplings, so they're relatively small. They aren't fragile and they don't require fertilizer or watering when planted. Overall, they're easy to work with. Pine is also in high demand as it's one of the most common timbers used in construction. But there is one massive problem, and that's the terrain pine gets planted in. In my head, I pictured flat ground with the occasional bump. In reality though, the terrain is brutal. There is very steep inclines, stumps, rocks, and all sorts of obstructions. To avoid making the same mistakes as I did on the robotic arm, I've decided to break the project into 8 main milestones. Number 1, I need to conduct lots of research on the tree planting process, the terrain, and the pine saplings. Number 2, how will the robot drive over the terrain? Number 3, what will move the robot? Number 4, what will power the robot? Number 5, how will the robot navigate the terrain? Number 6, how will the robot create the hole in the ground? Number 7, how will the robot plant the saplings? And last, number 8, how will the robot store the saplings? Next step will be to tackle these questions and come up with solutions. But that will be the next video. Thank you everyone so much for watching, I really appreciate it. This video has been in the works for a long time and I'm happy to finally be able to share it. Anyway, next video in the series will hopefully be out soon, so see you then.